It is what enables Sven to be that solo carry for Origen. And then, right now, if you ban away like a Kalista, the other team is almost forced to ban Corki, or otherwise you will first pick it, and you can then potentially even go for Lucian, and you deny like the 3 main picks away from Sven.
Yeah, the Alistar ban I like too, because it is just part of the strongest like bot lane combinations you have in the game right now. It's such a safe pick. You don't necessarily want to first pick it, because if OG plays it smart, there's other really valuable picks open, but it's one of the best early rotations on purple side.
But one of the things about, again, the current meta is there's so many good picks. Like, there's so many picks we consider S tier almost, that on blue side, often in your second rotation, you can still pick 2 top tier picks. So being on red side, having those 2 picks is not always an advantage. Because the first pick, you can just pick whatever you want. We talked about potential AD carry bans. Here's Lucian. If OG leaves Kalista, Corki open now, they will get one of them. I think G2 will just first pick the Corki though.
I don't know. It feels like a bait and switch though. The Kalista just enables the supports too. Both these support players are just so much better when they have Fate's Call available. Imagine.
I think Origen will leave them both open.
They have to almost. If they ban one and then they leave one open for G2, then they make a real big mistake.
Yeah. So they're doing it.
3 supports ban now actually. Very interesting.
So this again is just deny Sven more than anything, because Corki has been a better mid lane pick than AD carry pick, and it seems like they're okay giving OG a Corki AD carry for Nils or for Sven. But they just want to deny the 2 main carries for him in Kalista and Lucian.
Also, if you look at what Miffy's majority been playing, the Braum that is open now as the sole support that's left is more down Hybrid's alley rather than Miffy, I would say. And then Miffy has to resort to a 5th pick type of support. Maybe just whip out the Janna. Trundle maybe, but not as potent as he is on Alistar, you know, maybe even on Thresh later on. So, and Origen can't afford to pick it up because they really want to put some priority here. Ironically though, Amazing, even though he stated very often that he thinks Graves is one of the strongest junglers right now, played it a lot in Duo Q too, got me some elo. But seems to opt for the Elise. They want more CC.
Elise is still also a fantastic jungle pick, but it is what we also talked about before. Like, G2 still has a lot of good picks open. It's not like they've lost a whole lot by first picking the Kalista, because you knew Corki was going to come in there. Instant response from Origen, obviously. You can just go Graves now for Trick, or Nidalee as he's played before, if you want to have one of these fast-pushing compositions again.
Yeah, it almost has to be X plus Braum here. So you have one champion that's strong, and then Braum just to hide information and take it away. Don't imagine Perks is gonna blind pick his matchup here already.
Yeah, and
Corki's still a flex.
Kikis probably won't get his pick either now, because Fiora is open, but Source plays Quinn, which is really good into the Fiora. So you don't want to show that by any means for G2. It has to be support almost coming in now, just to hide picks more than anything. And we talked about the Graves Nidalee. Obviously, when Elise gets picked, you know, they're open. We've seen these picks from Trick, very farm focused, and then grouping up with his AD carry and support and just start fast pushing down these towers. So OG needs to respect that.
Oh, that's actually something we haven't talked about too much. Sven is probably the only AD carry that plays Kindred AD carry. Now that she's back on the table, kind of shifts everything. So he's thinking about at least playing her.
Yeah.
Vayne too, because Corki in the bottom lane I don't think is the best decision right now. It's still so strong in the mid lane.
It's a way better in the mid lane, honestly. It's so much easier to hit level 11, get your big power spike. The problem is, again, what wave clear AD carry could you then pick for OG if you want to try and stop this fast push potentially coming from T2? Ezreal with an Iceborne Gauntlet Rush can do some of it.
Yeah, definitely. Corki combined with something will be enough wave clear, but the problem I'm seeing here is that Origen, they're setting up for a heavy siege that usually gets countered by a wave clear mid, but that could actually be good against a team like G2, who like to have their mid lane player on a playmaking champion. So we may actually just see a Victor come out here from Perks, and then it kind of limits some of the roaming forward pressure that he puts if he just plays a more of a wave clear oriented champion.
Well, this is why I absolutely love Graves as a jungler, because he offers that wave clear you need. So even if you go like an Ahri here as a very often safe pick,
the combined wave clear of
Graves and Ahri is enough, so you don't need a Victor in that case. You can still play an assassin mid, and Ahri is by many players considered the safe option in mid lane. Also because you have seen the Corki now, so you expect it to be Corki mid, and obviously Ezreal AD carry, so there's no LeBlanc counterpick.
For sure, but even if you go for like a playmaker mid lane on Perks, we've seen that you can't always snowball against your opponent, like when he played against Febum. They still took home the win, but against Power of Evil, it's still very difficult to snowball from him.
It does tell you a lot about G2 as a team, that when they see a poke composition being built against them, you know, everything Origen has picked so far means group up, poke, and siege. And a lot of teams will say, okay, we will nullify that at least in one of the lanes by picking Victor, just go mass wave clear, stall it. But G2 always want an aggressive element, so they pick a gap closing, charm enabling, Ari. You know, they have an aggressive top laner right now with the Malphite as hard engage, and then they have Fate Scar on their support, who can also soak up so much damage. So they're taking the aggressive answer instead of perhaps looking for the passive one, and it just shows you that they're very confident in their ability.
It's also just where we see the power, again, of them being able to get a Graves in second rotation, not even having to invest the first pick, so you can use that to deny Sven and putting on a second tier AD carry in the Ezreal, who obviously needs to hit that late game point before you have that massive impact. So I just really like how G2 are approaching the pick and ban phase, and I feel like they always leave themselves options to have the right answer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we don't need to pick like a boring, slow, wave-clearing champ for perks. He can still be aggressive because we then have the Graves jungle to back him up.
And their composition just always makes sense. They at least have a purpose and a goal and a way to win the game, and G2 has been, so far in this season, good at identifying their win conditions. And that begs the question, how much is that coming from Youngbuck as a coach? Because coming into the season, many were even like criticizing, even mocking Youngbuck so far as a coach because he went to North America, didn't have the greatest success there. But so far in this multicultural, multi-language G2 Esports, he's done a fantastic job when it comes to drafting.
I mean, he's always been a good leader, a good captain. Can kind of rally people around him, and you need that, a young team like G2 getting into the LCS, picking up 2 Korean imports, Trick very young, of course. And OG in the end, we get a big tank top lane, who will of course be able later on to like outduel the Malphite, but they're obviously not gonna do too much against each other. It's a 1-4 siege comp, and then you need some safety against Ari, burst, Graves burst, save one of these AD carries.
And you gotta watch your flanks. If Malphite gets TP in from the side, it's pretty much game over for Origen when they're sieging.
Well, there we have it. The coach coming in after the pick and bans, supplying everything they can, and now they just have to watch their teams from the sidelines. Not long to go. Well, with the comps locked in, it's time to see who's really OP between G2 and Origen.
The tower goes down, and all Fnatic are being shoved away, and Gamers 2 just close in on the Nexus.
I expect Origen to be good. They're all really good players.
Rocket, they're running for their lives.
I think G2 will be a good team.
Mitty and Sven, they're both really good. I think they're one of the best bot lanes in Europe.
Keep looking at Sven.
Wow.
I think we can win, but I won't say we have won already.
And we are into game with G2 going up against Origen. G2 currently 5-1. Who would have guessed it? Right at the top of the table, going against Origen or Ocelot.
Ocelot would have guessed it.
He knew. You all along.
So look at what G2 are doing now, level 1. Instant moving to the tier 1 tower up top lane.
Yeah.
Hiding the dual lane for where we normally see these wards fade out in the river. Haven't shown anything yet.
30 seconds.
They definitely want to get the swap though. The Braum Kalista matchup is, it's almost, you only get like one trade to win that lane. If at that point you haven't really gotten a good trade at level 1 or 2, when you just lose too much HP. And it kind of the same fate happens to as what we saw in the Giants games, where at that point you have one chance, one opportunity. You go in, you land a stun, Emperor gets the double proc, you know, at level 2 or level 3, and then you can break the Janna Ezreal lane. But other than that, the repetitive poke from an Ezreal who can stay at max range can opt in for any trade he wants, and then accelerate that trade by shifting in aggressively plus the Janna shield. It is very hard to beat.
So OG rolling the dice here. Turns out that they do find G2's bottom lane up here. I see some keystones.
And they'll also go for the late invade to stop the camp, especially if you're running a double ranged bot lane. Either you find the enemy double jungler here, good, you punish them, or you find the enemy bot lane doing a camp and you keep the level 1 laning phase as long as you can. But this time, because G2 were hiding and they had some wards, they actually get the early push in the lane now.
Look at the minimap though. The ward in the river you see in the entrance toward the Raptor camp of Origen is very important, because that's where team can hide.
Yeah.
Which we saw HK do, and then like walk in behind you when you're invading on blue buff and kill you. That ward would spot that, so it was a safe play from Origen, and they just end up neutralizing. No one gets a camp level 1.
While this may seem very insignificant to the untrained eye, the fact that Emperor and Hybrid get a little bit of wave control here at the start means a lot further down the line for this matchup. They level up to level 2 on the 9th creep of this wave, and because they have the control early, they get that uncontested. And the difference between the Janna Ezreal lane being pushed in their tower and having the push control is massive in terms of how much pressure you put on Emperor CSing, because essentially he's laning 1v2.
Almost forget I have to talk at times. Just love listening to you guys go back and forth, learning so much in this 2v2 alone. Also interesting mid lane though, Power of Evil going back to another poke champion, which we saw a lot from him last season. Now going on to the Corki. Last week his performances were really good, but he was on the Lulu just facilitating his team and more specifically Sven. So now he's back onto a quote-unquote carry mid laner. I want to see how he does.
Yeah, and we have to remember, if you look at the pick and ban phase, the way Origen were picking, they're basically setting up for this siege comp instantly as they knew that Corki would be open. So like they get Corki Elise, and the reason they take Elise is because out of the poke junglers, if you look at like the poke siege comp junglers like Elise, Graves, and Italy, the only one who's able to build full tank is Elise. So they needed a front line with a tank top and Elise jungle to protect these carries, more instead of going for more damage. Amazing is finding Trick here, might just run away from each other.
Trick might get end of the line off the wall here, as Amazing is just walking away, but he did get the auto attack down first for the slow from Red Buff, so he's got a little bit more range as he turns around, starts trading with Trick into Spider Form to try and scuttle away.
And this exchange here is very important for what's happening in that 2v2 on top. Just the fact that you know you can't get ganked allows you to play with more liberty. So the CS should go even, and there should now be all in the top lane. So top lane should pretty much go even. So we need to start looking at some of these other lanes. What's happening there in the bottom lane? We have a small CS advantage for Soaz right now. He has the push, especially here for him too. If he knows that the jungler is nowhere near him, Tahm Kench can play a lot more aggressively, make use of repetitive use of those stacks. He now pushes in, and he can reset the waves.
Yeah, so interesting seeing Tahm Kench as well make it to the final rotation. Did find some hits in 6-2 with the damage from his ultimate. 2% of his max health at rank 1 versus 4% before, but still, final rotation back onto Soaz. In that 1v1, not very interesting. It's Malphite, Tahm Kench, so just kind of hate each other. Both went for Grasp as well, so it's literally going to be on an even playing field.
Yeah, this is not going to be a game where we're going to see crazy ganking action in lanes. Actually a good 2v2 fight though.
Yeah, forces the exhaust, too much damage if Zen gets hit by more stacks there, and the Rend. And I think that puts the Rend on cooldown, so that gives a little bit of breathing room, but you just see the difference. What you can do with a Braum. Hang on, Perks going low, forced to flash, and yeah, this is the power of the Corki.
Very greedy play from Perks though, moving so close to Power of Evil just to try and get a Q off on the minion wave. Getting in range of both the Q from Corki, Gatling gun, instant Thunderlord proc. Sloppy play there from Perks, and not often we see that.
No, but that's kind of the playstyle we've seen from Perks, and he's been able to do it against weaker mid laners, and now struggling more against Power of Evil, who is still a very strong laner. 5 minutes in, yes. But he could have made a move like that against other mid laners and have it be fine. So just testing the waters, I guess, in the mid lane. Had to burn a flash for it.
Yeah, G2 pushing up the wave, hiding in the brush. And as a team, though, if you look at what Perks did there in that trade, as Emperor takes another bad trade here, you would think he knows that matchup better with the amount of Corki that he has played. So it must have been almost like a disrespect to your opponent to go for plays like that. And G2 as a whole, they've played these poke positions so often that they must have the answer to it. Power of Evil, pitching Trick here.
Yeah, we're not going to be picking up the kill, but taking some poke regardless. Still has refillable potions, so he's okay for now.
But still, I mean, this is not an early game where the junglers are super active in terms of gank doing anything. It's kind of like maximize your farm, try and cover your lanes with Rift Scuttlers, and again with Amazing on Elise, because he can build Cinderhulk and he has Strength of the Ages, so he wants to stack that one up. And again, he just wants to become like a frontline, basically, where Trick is more focused on that increased burst damage you get from a jungler like Graves. But that's where the Tahm Kench pick for Soaz can turn out to be game-changing for Origen, if he's in the right place. But obviously he's the guy sitting in side lanes very often, and he has less of an impact when he TPs in compared to a Malphite. Yeah,
Soaz will definitely have to deal with some of these hard engage components. I mean, the Malphite, the Fate Skull support being thrown in, Perks' charms. Whereas if you look at OG, it's only the Cocoon really and a max range Tornado that can set up for target lockdown that can then enable these Pokemons. If you CC a target, everybody can fire all their missiles at one guy, you can explode him, but if you miss that Tornado, then it'll be very hard for G2 to play here. Power of Evil?
Perks actually turning on Power of Evil in the mid lane. He's going to flash away, but the Ignite will take him down for the first blood. Over to Perks, just in the rotation to River.
Mithy had cooldown on his shield because he used it on himself when he was kind of trading with Trick before. And then this time it's Power of Evil now moving a little bit too close, and Perks saying, well, I'm level 6, I have ultimate, let's see it again. So shield is down here from Mithy.
Yeah, Mithy's trying to catch Trick here. Amazing misses Cocoon, and Perks immediately reads that. He says no more CC available. Amazing's very far, goes in for another dash, forces the flash, the damage been done, Ignite's ticking, and this is just OG wanting too much at once with too little CC. if the two main CC spells that you have in your entire lineup are already in cooldown, you can't commit to multiple targets. You just have to try and get Trick out and don't fight Perks at the same time. So crucial mispositioning and good capitalization from Perks.
The problem there for Origen is also you feel the safety in numbers.
Yeah.
You have 3 guys there with your support, so you feel like we can move forward. You know, we can try and force a fight. And you don't expect the player to then go aggressive on you, but that is the kind of play Perks is, and now Amazing getting caught out.
Well, Kickers with the ultimate locks him down. The repel comes up, but Amazing doesn't really have anywhere to go. He'll flash away, burn the summoner Trick, where the ultimate takes him down, and Power of Evil unable to assist.
And now we get to see what G2 likes to do every single game they play. Aggressive moves here, they punish you if you overextend. They just did it twice now. Kill on Power of Evil, then kill on Amazing. They got flashes down both times. So what stops you from making this play in 2 minutes time? You can do exactly the same. Wait for Kiki's ulti, you have teleport, force a play.
It's really interesting because this game came down to like the junglers just kind of butting heads, trying to get the vision, trying to just deny each other from going into the jungle and stopping the ganks from happening. But it's OG who are a little slow to the play sometimes, and they're actually getting punished in these small trades, which should just be vision control more than anything.
Yeah, and Origen's composition, as we pointed out in Champions League, is a clear 4-1 when he has Soas in the side lane and the remaining 4 members who want to group and siege on a tower. But G2, they want to kill that in its infancy, in the setup. They want to take down some of these members, 2v1, 3v2, in skirmishes where the CC just matters so much. Malphite ulti into burst. Suddenly, the whole effect of poke and disengage that the Janna provides becomes useless because as individual parts, champions are not as strong. We get a good trade here, but Perks can always disengage, especially if he respects the Corki damage. He might take a bad trade, but he can always get his way out. Whereas Origen, if they're caught, they don't always have an escape because they're fighting against much more crowd control.
And the problem is now, when you play these 1-4 compositions with low engage, you rely 100% on your ability to safely be able to group and start sieging on these towers. Once you start falling behind in the early game, you're forced into very early pink wards that has to be used defensively to block these wards that are set up as TP flanks, basically, for Malphite. So there's an early pink ward right now behind the red buff from Origen. I like that one. There's going to be one on the right side as well. You see the blue ward now from G2 at the mid tower. There's going to be a pink ward as well from Origen later to stop Kikis from ever TPing there and then breaking that siege before it gets set up.
Yeah, a couple of things happened there on screen while all that was going on.
Yeah, the Fissure very enabled and
I like these wards here.
The fact that a Braum ultimate, somebody flashes, Miffy gets straight out, doesn't matter. Let's talk about wards.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
There's a
now
ward
the
in the
kill's
bush.
going on as well. Miffy popping the ultimate. Emperor comes back in for the re-engage, and so does Kickers. The kill may go into Ben as well. Soaz picks him up, drags away, flashes out, and Hybrid unable to pick up the kill with Amazing reacting, and Sven makes it out alive.
And that talk about wards suddenly is not relevant, because what did Kickers do? He took a ward that was placed further in to the jungle of Origen, and he TP'd on it, and he smacked him in the face with his ulti. Look at the ward, where Amazing is right now in the minimap. He's exactly covering it.
Still looking at it.
That's the one. Oh, now it's gone. Anyway, there was a ward. He TP'd there and he
The
killed
ward
him.
was a lie, the Fissure. No, but yeah, to break a poke composition, here we'll see it again. Mithy and Sven, they enter
look at
into a
the ping.
trade. Just had to Hybrid no ultimate because he forced the flash early with it. And once you get behind in this 2v2, so he actually greedy go in here from Emperor, but he knows he gets the backup. As you get behind in the 2v2, it actually enables Braum, Kalista to actually focus down the support. Because of the Braum shield, they can block most of Ezreal's damage, and it's too hard to actually punish that on Origen side. Usually if you go for support, the AD carry will end up killing both of you down the line, because it has too much uptime in terms of damage. But Braum denies that to an extent. Kalista has too much burst. Fate's Call is a way to do it too.
It's going to continue being a problem though for Origen. The TP impact between these two top laners. Kickers now has no flash, has no ulti, but he has a lot of movement speed.
Swiftness boost.
And Tahm can then catch him and devour him. He gets out alive. What we see when Source TP's in is to save someone, but he doesn't do it as quick as a Malphite ulti just smacking into people.
Yeah, real hard to gank Malphite there. Also predicted wrong with the Cocoon, thinking he may juke into it, but still, bot lane, Emperor. That was a very aggressive flash in the last fight as well, but in terms of communication or just feeding out how your team is going to play, that was exceptional. Jumps in as the ultimate comes in from Malphite, really shores up some of the communication problems we thought they may have had. Top lane, Soaz still just kind of
package
licking away at Kickers. Actually uses the ultimate as Power of Evil is heading in from the mid lane. Good use of ultimate there, and Power of Evil has to go back into mid lane.
Gets the call from his own mid laner that Corki has gone missing with the package. And obviously you have to respect that really, really far away. It does mean G2 might make a play on the bottom side, and they're sending Hybrid in
Just a little over eager.
Yeah. And Power of Evil looking for the play here because gets charms in. Perks doesn't have much mana, but he still has his ultimate. Now has to retreat as Amazing is coming in. Rocket lands on his way out.
See, and that's the mark of just a great mid laner. He's not afraid to turn aggressive where he can and just respect the absolute boundaries of that play. Any extra dash forward, he dies. If he goes out earlier, sure, he lives, but he doesn't put the counter trade in. He just really knows how to play on the edge of safety. And that is
Emperor might
generally
be
the
caught
mark
here.
of a good player.
He's alone in the river. Amazing is here.
Yeah, and he doesn't have flash from early as well. He has to turn around, try and put some damage on the Miffy before he falls.
Yeah, Emperor, they went in for the 2v2 in bot lane, but he tries to rotate over, gets lost in rotation on his way up to mid lane, and that actually opens up for some pressure from Origen in the bot lane and the Dragon.
Would you say lost in translation there? Actually, Emperor, because he was trying to go into mid lane.
Technically.
Well, Dragon is going to be taken off the back of that from Origen. Amazing will just tank that up easily with Spiderlings. And 3-1 currently. So OG very slightly behind in terms of kills. Literally all just been from that from now. Combat stats picked up from the first Dragon will probably equalize that in terms of gold that both teams have. And now Soaz just back into the top lane. Most likely Malphite will meet him soon.
Now, if G2 keep making these sloppy mistakes, though, the value of their picks will go down, and eventually Origen will even group as 5 members, and then the Devourer can really turn around these fights with the reset too, because you're looking at a lot of hard engagement. Malphite goes in, Fate Skull gets thrown in, but if then Mythic can reset the fight and exhaust the next aggressor, and Tahm Kench can Devour can redirect some of that damage, then Origen can actually reset the fight and keep on poking. That's definitely something G2 want to avoid later, so we definitely want to see some flanks from G2 and good resets of fight on the side of Origen.
Well, the thing G2 wants to do, if you look at the entire map, is you basically have a boring dead lane where Malphite is sitting against Tahm Kench and you're not supposed to do anything around that one. And then you want to have mid and bot lane winning for yourself. And those are the 2 lanes you want to focus everything on, because Malphite has his impact if he can TP in and then dive on the turret, like he did earlier in the game. So they need to get 1 or 2 wards deeper into the blue side jungle of Origen now and threaten this dive on the bottom lane. And they can set up their play faster than Source can react. Just ignore top lane, get your deep vision in, Trick places 1 ward here. This could be the TP ward for Malphite that sets up that dive in like 20-30 seconds. And then now Sven and Mithy has to respect it and play a lot more passive.
Yeah, look at mid lane too. Perks pushes up and he's rotating down, so they're indicating the play for sure. Soaz pushing out aggressively. Origen should know that this is coming, but even if you know it's coming, it could still be a very dangerous play to play against.
And the reason it's so important for Origen to do this now is because this top lane, Source is going to win. He's just going to do what he's doing now, over and over and over, just push it in. So you need to utilize the Malphite with your team. And that's how you set it up here. Let's see if he can TP in now, or they just safely take the tower or poke it down.
Yeah, there's a possibility. I'd like to see if he has stacks up there as well, because he can easily devour Malphite unless they set up the play in advance and he backs away from the turret. But Tahm Kench not one of the best champions at interrupting your opponent when they're TPing out.
And I know boring ward talk and whatever, but Origen is realizing the play. So they place early pink ward as well in that jungle. Let's see what happens mid though.
Yeah, just a bit of damage there. Perks uses ultimate as well though, and Amazing will just be able to support Power of Evil.
But you can see how quickly Origen went in and said, oh, you're placing wards in my jungle to TP dive?
Yep.
That's not going to happen. Sweeper, pink ward, we're going to clear those wards out. So Kikis has no good place to TP other than on a minion at the tower, and then you can just disengage and escape from it if you're Origen. So it's very smart. Small moves, just reading where's the next aggressive play from G2, how do we counter it before it happens.
Yeah, so us making the reverse move. Perks almost gets his Batic Cocoon. Because obviously he's not really good at teleporting into the lane, he's better off pushing out the lane, securing the vision on the sides, and coming in as a support system for Origen. So later on, Origen will use that pressure that Soaz is in the top lane to push out the Malphite, help him help in the other lanes, and then he will just use his ultimate back into the lane, worst case.
But this whole denial from Origen, breaking the G2 play that was supposed to happen, also allows Origen to actually start grouping and sieging a lot easier. Because if that's the big play G2 can make and then invest everything on the bottom side of the map and you avoid that play, you can start playing aggressive mid lane.
Yep.
Because the same setup isn't there. And you can then see your G2 move through the river with the jungle and support. The play might still happen. They're trying to set up again. Loads of pings from Origen to try and deny it. Here's a TP from Source.
He's coming in, and the Cocoon lands onto Perks, actually. He has an ultimate in a couple seconds, needs to survive until then, but Soaz has him in the grasp of his hands. Now he picks up the kill, but the re-engage from G2 might be big here from Kickers. Ultimate onto the back line, but it's not enough damage with the follow-up. Soaz drops slow, but he needs a little more to finish him off. Amazing with the re-engage, and they pick up the kill onto Emperor. Now Amazing goes down, and Trick's still cutting back. Kickers is still alive, trying to get those autos onto Soaz to pick up the kill, but now he has to back away with his team, and here is the disengage.
Emperor flashes in aggressively to get that kill, but clutch shield from Miffy turns that fight around, and this is exactly what we were talking about. G2 pull the trigger, but if they don't kill, the fight reset plus exhaust from Miffy should be enough to win that fight. And we also, for the first time, see some lack of shot calling in G2 because they force this play over and over again.
It's too predictable. Origen have been around with all 4 members with pink wards. They can see everything. Look at Miffy's positioning in this fight. Look how far forward he steps, knowing that he's not going to be the target from the Malphite. So he flashes in now. Malphite will go there, and then he can reset the fight instantly. Malphite is now alone, doesn't have enough damage.
Look at Emperor right here. He's going to flash for the finishing blow. Doesn't get through the shield. No passive block. Gets Cocoon. So that's over-aggressive play from G2, and that is something we're wondering, you know, where is the limit? When will they get punished? Same way if you look at the macro, they made a good setup for a play in the bot lane, but if it gets thwarted once, respect your opponent enough that they will see the play coming the second time and see if you can find another map opening, whether that is basing your bot lane to the top lane, surprise Soaz, go for the tower there and get division in the red jungle, but don't keep going for the same play over and over.
A very normal play we see, or we saw a lot of worlds actually introduced by like 2 Tigers back then, Rock's Tigers now, is when you have this situation and they're predictable plays too risky to make, you push out your lane and you recall a support and AD carry and you just rush top lane. Because against the Tahm Kench, you can't wait for anything. You just rush 4-man in on that top tower, you take that tower down, and then you avoid this potential teamfight that just happened.
And if you do that a couple of times, you can even teleport back to base. Hang on, Packets gets used here. PoE, Kikus has to go out. Not much. If you make that play that the Fisher just described, you can also just go back to the bot lane. Or top, you keep confusing your opponents, and as long as you're ahead of the play, you're the one in charge of the game.
And every time you are there first at the tower pushing it in, you enable yourself to get these deep wards that then enable the TP flank from Kikis that you need to use to surprise Origen, so you don't get that same setup as Origen had before, where they knew everything and could disengage it beautifully and get the kills.
You've got to have that respect for your opponent, especially OG, who have been looking better and better over the last couple of weeks. They will punish you. Amazing had 2 perfect cocoons, which essentially picked up 2 kills in the last fight, and it was extremely unfortunate for Perks that he didn't get his ultimate off, because had he been able to disengage, then that fight would have gone differently, but his ultimate was on a couple seconds cooldown. Dragon now being taken here by Origen. Those will be the second one of the game as well, denying the first buff from G2.
But this is the Origen from Worlds. We praised a lot for never really being that good at being proactive.
Yep.
Being very good at reading what's the play the other team is going to make. What information do we have? What would our game plan be if we had their comp? Dive bot lane. Okay, prepare for it, counter it. That's what they did so well at Worlds, over and over. So it's good to see the team is now picking up the pace more and more. And a lot of this, again, is coming from Amazing and Mythy together.
Yeah, looking at some of these builds too, G2 very early game oriented. Obviously, Malphite runs out of steam later in the game because an ultimate doesn't guarantee a one-shot. Malphite is not useless, but of limited use after his ultimate's down. Perks going for raw penetration here. That is not that good of a scaling build, you know, that kind of falls off once people start stacking more MR overall. And then if you look at the side of Origen, their builds are only starting to come online right now. You have the Blue S for later in the game. You have the Tahm Kench that will later on be the better laner in the split push scenario, so they can start putting more pressure.
Oh, been all game, honestly. Like, Tahm Kench does have % damage. Like, he's good into these tanks who can't kill him at any time. He's good sustain. So, like, Source has just been, like, winning this lane, basically. It's just so slow-paced for him that it doesn't change anything in that lane itself, but it does, again, as we talked about earlier, it forces G2 to be the ones aggressive and making the play, because if they just keep waiting and waiting and waiting, Ezreal will outscale, Tahm Kench will outscale, the full tank Elise will be very useful later.
Full tank Elise, you say, but he went Runic Echoes with a needless large rod, and he's going into Rylai's right now, so interesting. Amazing picks up that slack of damage that they could potentially have in the mid game by playing this double AD composition, and he's a threat. He can one-shot Emperor later on, and he's incredibly mobile too, so with Runic Echoes, you know, as we see a bit of a siege, with Runic Echoes and the Boots of Swiftness, he can actually get into positions a lot quicker than you wouldn't expect and open up for cocoons.
I'm not sold on damage build on Elise right now.
I like it too, Crefo.
Against the burst damage of G2, I want to see how he plays the team fights. If he's just sitting really far back,
I think you have too little damage if you don't go for some damage on Elise, especially if you look at the composition. You have one tank already in the top lane, and you have a support that resets the fight. I think you have to almost go to produce a third damage.
The thing is, your comp is built to force the other teams to also have no damage. Because Tahm Kench is there, Janna is there shielding and disengaging, two safe long-range AD carries. Like, your comp is basically made to saying, like, you can't really target anyone and burst them down because we have disengage, we have a big tank. Again, I just want to see how Amazing is playing out the fight. On this Elise, now he has more damage-focused build, because it's not like he's been too active in the early game. He hasn't been like, ganking like crazy or anything. He's been very, very safely farming and just warding up for his team.
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely glass cannon. Still has strength for the ages, still has extra health from the Rylai's, and also they have a Tahm Kench with peel from Miffy as well. So they have ways of stopping that, especially if someone who's going to burst him, even on the front lines. Miffy still has exhaust, so there's ways to get around that.
Because the thing is, I mean, G2's composition in the late game, we talked about how Malphite obviously doesn't have the damage to kill anyone late game. Graves will build this very bruiser build where he has good damage, but not like sustained overall damage. And it's very tricky for Kalista to often get in and get multiple rents down in late game teamfights. So G2 could see themselves in a situation, if they don't get that perfect engage, they don't take down a target. Blue Bull Israel is so difficult to catch. Morph Morty is coming in for Power Vivo, blocking the AP damage from Malphite and Ahri together. So OG might just look to have these very long, extended fights.
Yep. Again, they want to just reset the fight with the Janna in the middle. That's their win goal, and then they exhaust the next aggressor. And at that point, the fight is lost. Flank here comes in. Power Vivo drops.
Wow, they actually pick up the kill there as Kickers comes in, and now the follow-up onto Miffy. He'll have to flash away, and now G2 are open to take that middle tower, and that's big for G2, so they can start putting this pressure down and actually start pressuring OG. Nice engage there by Kickers.
And very good move, sneaking into the jungle of Origen. Instead of waiting around, he just pulls the trigger.
Well, you can see some of the damage coming in here from a more AP-focused build coming out from Amazing. He'll be following up here. Repel comes up, and he comes back down. Is this too far? Soaz is over the wall. He has the Devour available, and Sven even jumps in aggressively with the Arcane Shift. Emperor dodges out of the Cocoon with his passive, and that's still that one kill over to Power Reveal after all of that.
Amazing knew he could go aggressive, because G2's composition is like, again, it's like a shotgun. It's a one trick, you know.
Yeah.
Just fire once, you have ulti from Ahri. Once that is gone, she loses a lot of value. Malphite ulti, Graves ulti, like very important ultis for G2. They were all down from the fight. So now Origen understand, okay, we can go aggressive. We're not afraid of these guys engaging on us.
Another push in the middle lane. OG managed to get that counter mid turret after that. So just taking one tower at a time, play for play. Take a look at some of the item builds as well. Looks like Murman has actually been finished by Sven in the bottom lane, building towards the Blade Ruin King.
Yeah, just wants to kite. Going Borg with Janna later on. Ezreal, already so hard to catch. If you add some utility support to him, like Lulu, like Janna, it becomes incredibly hard to deal with him. And late game, again, he can always choose to opt in aggressively with that Arcane Shift, guaranteeing almost the next Q to hit. At that point, that threat, that will be, at the start of the game, it's maybe 20%, but right now it'll be 30, 40% in the later stages. So you always have to respect that zone that an Ezreal offers offensively, and worst case, he uses defensively and gets out.
Oof, a lot of damage coming out from Perks. Thunderlord's procced off there with the true damage swing of Deception.
Maybe wise for Sven to still look into a QSS, because even when you're knocked up, you can disable part of the knockup and then use a mobility spell. So you can't disable it and move, but you can disable it and flash or Arcane Shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird interaction where you basically get stunned when you knock up with the fullest in the air. That counts as a stun in that sense.
Ooh. Tagged Perks, and that was a full damage. Didn't even pass through any minions, so wasn't that enough? Perks had to use his ultimate though.
Well, because G2 has been slowed down so much by Origen reading where's the aggressive play is going to happen, set up defensive vision every single time for it, and have all the team there, the entire team there. G2 has not been able to now push out every single lane, and then play around those two strong lanes with just a dead lane where Kickers is. That has allowed Origen to actually group quite a few times now. There's a counterplay happening. 5-man goes for Dragon. G2 is saying, let's try and force something top here. We have a lot of damage on these towers. Origen is reacting, but slowly.
Yeah, we'll see how fast they can react. The tower's already going down. Kickers actually tanked up the tower before the minions arrived. Still, they could get the reduction. Now, where did G2 move from here? Maybe try and get some of that Baron vision. Stay in the jungle, meaning that Origen have to take the long route to get from lane to lane. And they sweep the jungle while they're at it.
With Sven just ulting the wave mid, though, he understands. If this hits the tower, there's a chance I get dove and killed. Instant clear it out beforehand, forcing G2 to just disengage and start setting up other things in the river. And the reason Origen takes that trade is because they're on 3 dragons for 0 now. Otherwise, that wouldn't have been worth it.
Yeah, we see a Baron being made here by G2. They almost have to do it because Soaz in the bot lane is setting up the next play for Origen. So G2 caught between a rock and a hard place, and they're looking to go for the Baron. No 50-50 because of Rend.
They have this small window, and Amazing jumps over the wall. He's going to try and smite it, but there's the Ren you were talking about. Emperor secures that Baron, and the kickers with the engage onto Soaz and Power of Evil. Soaz just can't save his ally. He'll surely be going down as well as he preemptively pops his E for the extra shield. Miffy gets blown apart in the back lines as he's hanging out with Sven. 3 for 0, and the Baron over to Gamers 2.
And this is a good game read from G2 because they finally identified the only play they could make. If they don't go for the Baron right there, they will be behind the play because Soaz was setting up a slow push in the bot lane. Origen will base, push out the mid lane. Suddenly, the vision comes back. But because they use that rotation to the top, back off to the Baron. They get the Baron, the buff, 4 kills, and a siege in the mid lane.
How much can they take from this? They're taking the inhibitor tower. The inhibitor would go down as well. G2 are fairly low on mana. I'm not sure they can push further, and Sven is still alive, but still, an inhibitor off of that is huge.
And you see just how much Origen was not calculating the fact that they're playing against Kalista, because the play was fine if it's a 50-50 Baron, especially if you're calculating that it's an at least execute, but Rend completely changes that equation.
The thing is, I'm surprised that Origen actually could allow that Baron to be started and set up by G2 after they walked through the jungle. They knew they were in there, they knew they walked out to the river. I'm just re-watching it over on my screen to see what Origen is doing after the push. Sven actually recalls in mid lane in open vision. He just starts recalling. So G2 basically says, okay, we just took top tower, we moved through your jungle, you did clear the wave, that was good. But you can't just say like, oh, the play's over, everyone is gonna recall. Sven recalled himself, rest of Origen were just kind of running around the mid tier 2 tower, and then G2 pulls the trigger and instant goes Baron. So Origen were like doing the right thing at first, and then it went wrong.
I have a couple of things to mention. First of all is Zerat Portal, which I've been saying for a while could be potentially good, because basically you just stick it in a place that's difficult to get to, and it will always push out that wave. If you put it underneath a tower like early game, you just can't kill it.
This is a tank's only way of actually threatening towers in a split push. Soaz knows that Malphite can never do anything to him 1v1. And if he can actually pressure towers with their portal, he might draw some attention from G2. The problem is now they lost the Baron, so this portal will do nothing at this point.
Yeah, the portal right now is completely nullified. If you play a poke siege composition, your greatest ally is Baron, but also your greatest nemesis is the Baron buff, because suddenly your wave clear is nullified. It makes it so easy for G2 to either split push, set up an engage. Malphite is a tank that now becomes a split pusher because of the Baron buff. He doesn't need his raw portal, he just has it built in the Baron buff.
But if he had one, plus Baron,
it would be insane.
Useless. It would be redundant.
Well, so they're going for this 1v1 fight. Actually, defensive ultimate that used there by kickers, because some of the members of Origen went off the map and he was a little scared. He didn't want to get picked up. Bottom tower gets taken regardless, so it doesn't really matter.
Once again, if you look back the last few minutes, Origen very slow at like reacting to what's happening. Source was staying bot lane for such a long time. The kickers had time to walk all the way up and take down a tower.
It felt like they were shot calling and setting up plays without looking at what their opponents could do. You very often see this in teams that are like in phase 1 of shot call building. They're like, okay guys, we'll set up a slow push in the bot lane, we'll get out mid, we clear the wave, we're fine, but they don't calculate in what the opposing team's play is. So if you're only looking from one perspective and not from both, then you will run into situations where you get out-rotated, where you get surprised. The same way kind of G2 was doing it earlier when they had that rotation in the bot lane. They only saw their own play. They're like, we have to do this, we have to do this, it's the only play. But you don't calculate in the counterplay from Origen. So both teams have made some crucial errors in the macro. Sadly enough, for Origen, it was just a 1-5 that they got for their right call. For G2, it was a Baron, an inhibitor mid, another tower in the bot lane, and a tower in the top lane in the base. So a game-winning Baron, pretty much, for
I
G2 Esports.
really liked what OG did, though, up until that point. Again, I understand taking a third dragon, because you have 3 dragons to 0, 26 minutes, so you can play for 5 dragons in that sense and trade it for tower. As long as you then don't obviously give up the free Baron right after. And let's see
this could be big here. Potential pick on here, or maybe onto Power of Evil. He'll get swallowed up by Soaz, who should be able to save him. Throw him into the Monsoon for some healing. Sven over the wall, way too aggressive, and gets shut down by Perks. In the top lane though, Gamers 2 are pushing in for this inhibitor, and Origen are trying to recall, but there's 2 people in the mid lane who can stop those recalls from happening.
And G2 are just getting everything. Okay,
one-on-one.
Okay, Power of Evil got
Evil.
a kill, but he lost inhibitor. I don't think G2 can finish them with him dying.
Yeah,
They're
now
just buying time right now.
Power of Evil coming back in, but Soaz may be caught in this bottom side. He's very tanky. It's difficult to get this pick to happen. He still has a great health. There it is. Miffy is there to support him with yet another shield. Hybrid trying to get the lockdown onto Elise. And Gamers 2 trying to chip away at these turrets. OG are there to defend. Maybe they can get one. A second might be over ambitious. Emperor again, another aggressive flash in. This time with the heal. OG are forced back to their fountain, but now they have the home guards. After 20 minutes, they can chase them out of the base.
Yes, Sven is spawning. They're pinging the Baron. Obviously, we don't have the spectator bug here. Soaz comes in for the flank. If G2 drop here, this could be a potential counter Baron from OG.
Trying to punish hard here with Soaz using that Abyssal Voyage, but can't close the noose. And G2 managed to escape. The smokescreen comes out. More slows coming in from the Winter's Bite. And now G2 are able to back off.
Yeah, we don't have the Baron timer here. Production just told me it's still 1:30 away. We're guessing right here. We're in the dark.
Counter Baron setup.
Counter Baron setup into a Baron. But yeah, 4th Dragon's on the table too for Origen, so that is their late game win condition too. They've been setting that up. They cost them the tier 2 tower earlier. I don't think the 3rd Dragon necessarily led to the Baron.
No.
That was another mistake.
Again, Origen, after trading for that dragon, which we felt like was fine,
Yep.
that's where the collapse kind of happened for the team. Honestly, ignoring the fact that Baron was an option. G2 might look to fight.
Yeah, G2 looking for yet another punish, but Soaz with the save throws out Power of Evil, and Amazing is here as well. He comes back down from the repel, but he's caught out. He will be going down. And Perks looking for another follow-up, uses the Spirit Rush, misses the charm, but still has more damage with him. Sven is one of the stragglers who'll have to jump back, and Soaz once again with a saving Devour. A 1-0 to G2 looking to take more.
Good top lane, massive wave coming in. G2, they can look to put some pressure on his Nexus tower or go back, take the Dragon. The inhibitor middle lane respawn, so they're taking that now. Complete control. That's the second or third Ezreal ulti that I've seen collapse into a Braum shield, so no A game from Sven this game.
Yeah, maybe a little over-eager here. Perks, maybe if he can get a pick, but he's right into Power of Evil, who will punish with the Fast Bomb and the burst damage. Ultimate used for the disengage there by Hybrid. Abyssal Voyage could be a good punish from Soaz, but he'll immediately get chunked out. And now his team with the follow-up, now they need to get out because Power of Evil's low and Sven does not want to be caught in the crossfire. G2 back off.
Yeah, both teams want to rush to base because Baron is live in about 20 seconds, 25 right now. Now, actually, I lied. Production gave me the wrong number.
Is the wrong number, and G2 will go for that Baron. And this should go down with no troubles at all.
100%. I mean, the base is open. Perks was sitting in the jungle, setting up a potential catch. There's no vision from Origen. So that's 2nd Dragon, or 2nd Baron for Origen. For G2, tilting the crap home with their timings being off. This should seal the deal. I mean, Origen can take a dragon, but that's 4 dragons. You need number 5 to cash in, so that's not really going to be a whole lot of value for them.
It's like a retirement plan, you know? You keep putting money in it over and over and over. When you're 65, sure, you know, you get it all back, but
they're not going to get to 65 minutes in this game. That's the problem.
You definitely won't.
I don't even get the dragon.
Wait, they do.
Man, then you know everything is going wrong. That's why you're basically saying, okay, whatever, this game is over anyway. I even lose the dragon because it starts resetting and healing, and then Hybrid steals it.
The Winter's Bite of vulnerabilities as well, but now G2 closing in, and that's what happens in the Poke versus Hard Engage matchup. You make one mistake as you're trying to dance around. It's like a matador against a bull. If that bull hits you, you're dead. And that's currently what's happening with G2 going up against Origen, looking to seal the deal here. The first inhib goes down. Amazing jumps in, trying to go in there and deal some damage, but he's just too squishy. And even the tank Soaz goes down. Power of Evil will be falling. Sven protect the fantasy points, and G2 go in and collect the win against Origen.
This game, we could praise Origen up until that Baron call, where they recall, you know, they kind of wander around the tower. G2 takes Baron, and then the second play that happens a few minutes later is where all of all of Origen is sitting on the bottom side, and Kiki just walks top and takes a free inhib turret. And you're like, that's 2 moments where you can see the communication just completely collapse for Origen. And G2 punish them because, again, they do not hesitate. If they see an opening, they take it.
But you always have to wonder, OG, it's a very bold move.